everyone, and welcome to another salty experience. As usual, I'm your host, Aye. And today, as we are already in the season of love, self-love, we are here with an amazing psychologist and a lawyer William Osei, and we're about to have a discussion on bitterness and anger. Sometimes we go through a lot in life and we feel like I have every right to get angry. Sometimes things happen to us, people are not fair to us, and we feel like I don't want to even have anything to do with this person. But does it even benefit us at all? This is what we're about to look at today. Stay tuned. Okay, so lawyer William was saying, I would like you to introduce yourself a little. Like, tell us something about yourself.
Well, I think the first thing I can say about myself is that you're my niece, right?
Yes.
So that's one thing. I am a lawyer. I was called to the Ghana Bar in 1984. Which is a long, long time ago. I currently live in the United States, in the state of Pennsylvania, where I am a practicing psychologist. So I don't practice law in the United States anymore. And I run a program which in the States we call a partial hospital program. And that is an outpatient program where the patients come and they stay there for the whole day, but they go back home. So it's different from an inpatient program where they stay and sleep. In a partial program, they go back home at the end of the day and then come the next day. And the programs usually last 2 to 3 weeks.
All right, that's great. So we would enter straight into the topic for today. It's a rhetorical question. It's like, I have every right to be. Why should you get angry? So we would start with anger. What is anger?
Well, anger that's a very, very interesting question to start off with, because anger is not easily defined. But I look at anger in the same way I look at fear. They're both the mirror images of each other. And the definition for both anger and fear are very, very similar if you look at the psychological definitions. But in layman terms, anger basically is a reaction to a perceived, and that's the key word, it's a perceived wrong. So that's just in layman's terms. So you think that someone has done something to you, and then you react to what the person has done. Whereas fear, on the other hand, is mainly internalized. Anger is an external thing. So it comes out of you, not always in a good way. On the other hand, both fear and anger are caused by a section of the brain we call the amygdala. It's a
I'm learning.
It's a pea-sized, well, not a pea-sized, an almond-sized organ in your brain, right at the back of your brain, and psychologists say it's the most primitive part of your brain. And so a lot of our responses to the outside world begin there. One of the things that we talk about in psychology when we're talking about these type of things is what we call the fight or flight action. And so fight or flight is where we look at our surroundings. If we perceive something that we are either afraid of or we are afraid, we do a couple of things, right? One of the things that we might do is we might fight, right? Or we might run away. All right? Or we become immobilized, like a deer in headlights. You just can't do anything at all. So those are some of the three things that are caused by the amygdala. Either we fight, we flight, we run away, basically, or we are stuck and we don't know what to do.
So when you talk about the fight and flight, does it have anything to do with the adrenaline?
It does.
Okay.
It does. Because what happens is that the adrenaline, which is basically a chemical, is what your body releases it in order to give you more energy, in order to do certain things. So if you're afraid, your adrenaline might be increased.
Increased, yeah.
If you are angry, it is increased.
Increased.
If you need to run, it is increased.
Okay.
The danger is that if you continue over and over and over to release adrenaline from your adrenaline glands, it can have an effect on your heart.
Wow.
Because you are overactivated.
So anger really has an effect on us.
It does, both physically and psychologically. Yeah.
Okay, that takes me to my next question. So if it's the adrenaline and all that pumps in, and then we do crazy things or we get so mad sometimes, is it impossible to control your anger?
No, you can control your emotion. Anger is an emotion. Okay. You can control your emotions.
Okay.
Those who can't control their emotions, then it becomes a problem. And so I'm not saying that anger is all bad. No. There are some good things about anger. But when it's out of control, then it becomes a problem. Yes.
That's what the Bible says, don't let the sun set.
Yes. You're quoting, I believe it's Ephesians 4:6 or something like that. But yes, Ephesians. Okay. Yeah.
So, is it even necessary at all to get angry? I think you answered that already. So, you just sometimes it's right to get angry, or you shouldn't get
okay.
Angry. It's
No,
okay,
it's
but
okay.
it isn't right.
Right. So it's okay to get angry
because
sometimes.
We're human.
Not only because we're human, but it sends a point of displeasure.
Yeah.
Right. So somebody does something to you that isn't right. Right?
Yeah.
And you get upset with that person. So you let that person know that you don't agree with what he does, you're not going to accept that. That is fine. But once you've sent that message,
it's enough.
It's enough.
You send the signal.
Right, you send the signal, it's enough. Then you come back and reset. Okay. Right? Now the problem is that if any little thing sets you off, right?
Every single thing you need to get
then
angry.
Then there's a problem.
Okay, so right now there's some people who feel, even sometimes I feel like somebody has hurt me over the years, or I expected something to have been done and it wasn't done, so you get angry. Sometimes let's start with getting angry with others, then we will move into getting angry with ourselves. Mm-hmm. So with getting angry with others, what advice would you give someone who over the years, for 5 good years, the person can't let go of a situation? And then I feel like if you ask them, they have the right reasons why they are angry and why they should stay angry.
Well, that's also a complex question. When you continue over and over to get angry with other people, it affects you. And when you can't let things go, what happens is that you keep building up on certain hurts. And so if, for instance, you remain angry with people, what happens is that any little thing that person does to you or says to you, it annoys you, and then you get upset. And so you're perpetually upset with that person. And so your relationship with that person, especially if you're married, right, is destructive.
Yeah.
Or if it's your sister, it's destructive. Even if it's a friend, you could lose good friends because of that.
Anger.
And it's destructive, right? And so, as you quoted Ephesians just now, we have to let go of anger. We can't keep it in us, no matter how good the reason is. Because, as we've alluded to already, when we continually get angry or we feel upset about someone, we are actually also hurting ourselves. You're not just hurting the person, you're also hurting yourself. Yes.
Okay, so what about a person who is angry with themselves? Sometimes you don't match up. You feel like you've not gotten to where you wanted to get to, or you feel you keep doing the wrong thing. For example, if it's an addiction, you want to stop the addiction, but you keep getting into this same act over and over again, and you feel like you are so useless, and you get so angry and so hurt about what you keep doing.
Well, addiction is completely different,
Okay.
right? And I wouldn't really mix addiction with anger. And I would say that is more of a disappointment. You get disappointed with yourself.
Okay.
And if you are perpetually disappointed with yourself, it's also not good.
Okay.
Because that leads to low self-esteem. And when you have low self-esteem, it can also create anger because you try and compensate.
Yeah.
So people with low self-esteem, what they do is that when they become angry, it's really a mask for the low self-esteem they have.
Some of them are very violent.
Right. And so they're trying to cover up their low self-esteem.
Yeah.
And that is why they get angry. Right?
So they don't really get angry with themselves. They get disappointed in themselves, but they get angry about every single thing.
Sometimes, yes. But, it means that there is something in you, especially when you were talking about the fact that they didn't reach where they have come from. And I'll give you a very good example. Like you all go, let's say what school did you go to?
SHS.
Yes.
Senior high school, St. Rose's.
Oh, you went to St. Rose's. Okay, a good school.
Yeah.
So you went to, you go to St. Rose's,
Yeah.
right? And you see that some of your schoolmates,
Yeah.
right, all of a sudden are doing much better than you are, right? Okay, I know that you're in law school, and I know that you're doing very well right now, which is great. But imagine that you see one of your schoolmates, all of a sudden, you go to a party, let's say in a couple of years' time, she comes in a Mercedes-Benz and you are driving a Toyota Corolla.
Taking an Uber.
Or even taking an Uber,
Yeah.
right? And then you start to say, how come or why is she better than me? What have I done wrong? That she has reached a certain point in life and I haven't reached that thing. We all went to the same school. We all maybe went to the same university. What is she doing that she has done so well? And so instead of becoming happy for her, you become bitter that she has done so much in her life, even though you might not know what she's done. And then it starts to affect you. That why don't I have this? Why don't I have that? Why don't I have this? And then you start doing certain things that will actually be detrimental to yourself. Yeah.
Talking about when you see people and then you feel I've actually felt that way before because I actually stayed home for 2 years before going to university. So I saw my friends get to the university and I was like, oh, why am I not in the university? So is it wrong to feel that way? Because sometimes you actually feel they've disappointed yourself, or does the problem come when you let it get the better part of you?
Yes, exactly.
So it's normal to actually feel like I'm not really doing much for myself.
Yes, it's a normal reaction,
Okay.
but it's how you deal with the reaction. You're talking about your life, yourself.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example from my own life. When all my friends went to the university, right? I didn't do so well. I went to Prempeh College. I was acting up, enjoying sixth form, and so when we did our A-levels, I don't know whether you guys still do A-levels,
No,
and we don't do. Okay, we had to do A-levels in order to get to the university, and I had all D's and E's.
D's and A's.
D's and E's, not A's, E's, right? And so I didn't qualify to go to the university. And so I had to do my A-levels again.
Okay.
Now, there was two things I could have done. I could have said, okay, I'm done with myself, right? Yeah. Or I could have said, let me see whether I can improve, right? And so luckily for me, your grandfather was going to send me to England, and my big brother, your uncle, who unfortunately has passed away now, said to me, don't come, because if you come, you will never finish university. So stay in Ghana, study hard, and make sure you go into the university. So I took his advice, right? I studied hard and went to the university. So when I went to the university, all my mates in Prempeh College who had gone to the university ahead of me were a year ahead of me. right?
Yeah.
And so that didn't bother me, right? Even though initially I was bothered that, oh, all these people have gone ahead of me. And so I did my best in the university, right? Was one of in those days, you have to choose between 3 subjects when you go into the first year. And then they choose the 40 best candidates to do the LLB.
Okay.
All the rest have to do a bachelor's. And I turned out to be one of the 40 best candidates to do the LLB out of almost 300 people. So what it taught me when I failed my A levels, right, was that I shouldn't play around.
Yeah.
And I should try
Sit
and
up
strive.
and
Yes.
get better.
Right.
Okay, so now I want us to move into bitterness because the topic is I have every right to be angry.
Yeah.
So I want us to when do you get to the bitter stage? Because I know bitterness can even cause you to be very envious.
Yes.
And then very jealous of everything. Even you don't see good in anything anymore. So I want us to talk about that aspect.
Right. Bitterness is also, there's no good thing in being bitter. Absolutely no good in being bitter. And it's very easy to become bitter, right? And bitterness is caused by jealousy. Well,
Wow.
that's one angle of it. So when you are jealous of someone, right, you become bitter, right? Because you're not looking at yourself, but you're looking at somebody else all the time. And by looking at somebody all the time, you become bitter. But it's not only that, but then you start to sin because you start to want what that person
has.
And then you become jealous of that person even more.
Yeah.
And so it becomes this cycle that you can't break out of.
Wow.
And so you think that you are upset with that person, but you're really upset with yourself.
Wow.
So bitterness is really a reflection of yourself, not a reflection of anybody else. No, it's a reflection of yourself. It's a reflection that you think that you are a failure. And because you think that you are a failure, you are bitter because other people seem to have succeeded. Yes. So that is what bitterness really is. It's a reflection of yourself and what you have achieved. And so you continue over and over and over again to think of what you could have done, right? But then you project it onto somebody else and say, even if those people, for instance, did very, very well and legitimately you start to think of things that they may have done to become successful.
When somebody makes it, you feel like there's a man involved,
or
he cheated
his way through, or he got it by doing drugs and things like that, which all may be true.
But that's not your business.
But that's not your business, right? And so instead of working on yourself, you are thinking negatively of somebody else instead of working on what you can do to improve yourself.
That brings me to something I normally see on social media. They say the poor actually know they want the rich to live a certain kind of life, but the only thing they can't do is to be rich. It's like if a rich person does something, you're wasting money. Mostly those people just feel like they don't have that kind of money, so they feel whatever a rich person is doing is wrong, but whatever they are doing is right. But the point is you're not even getting rich.
Right. But that is true. But they also have a point, right? Because the Bible tells us not to be frivolous, right?
Okay.
Right? And the Bible also tells us we have to look after the poor.
Wow.
Right? And so if a poor person is seeing that a rich man, right? If you remember the story of Lazarus and the rich man, and Lazarus goes to the rich man's table and he wants to even just eat the crumbs from the table. The rich man kind of ignores Lazarus, right?
Yeah.
And the parable teaches us that we get money not because of what we have done, but because of what the Lord has blessed us with. And so, because it's not our own, it's the Lord's, we also have an obligation to make sure that those who are, and to make sure that those who are less fortunate than us benefit from us. So if we have money and all we do with it is enjoy the wealth that God has given us, then there's a problem. It's almost like being the parable that Jesus told, where he says the rich man, gathered all his grains and everything from his farms and all those, built huge warehouses, packed the grains and said, "Oh, now I can relax and be right."
Yeah.
And then God said, "You fool!
Yeah.
Tonight I'll take away your soul." Right?
Yeah.
And so it's the money and everything the rich man has is God's. But what are we doing to help the less fortunate? What are we doing to try and help them up? Right? What foundations, philanthropic foundations, are we doing to help people? There's this wonderful story of an American multi-billionaire who decided that in his lifetime, before he dies, he's going to give away all his money. His money. And I was reading, before I came to Ghana, I was reading a story about him that he has now given away about $10 billion.
Wow.
To various charities, to help the poor, to help universities. Everything has gone. The only money he has left is about $2 million, which he hopes will last him the rest of his lifetime. He's about 80-something now, he and his wife. But he's managed to give away billions of dollars to help the poor. Because he's saying that, look, I'm not going to take this money with me. And I want to know where this money goes before I die. I don't want somebody else to come and take the money and then
not use it for the right
thing. So I'm going to give it all away and then I'll be satisfied. And he said he's the happiest man. They live in a 2-bedroom apartment. That's how they live. And he's been very, very frugal, but he has given away all his money.
His heart is at peace.
His heart is at peace.
Okay, so the point is, so are you saying the poor sometimes, not the poor, but people actually have a point when they get angry?
Yeah, they have a point, right?
But you shouldn't make it, because some of them make it seem like it could be that this rich man you're talking about might just take a picture and post it on social media, and someone will be like, look at this rich man, it's all this necessary. Right. But you don't know what he's doing behind closed doors.
You don't know what he's doing behind closed doors. And that is just one side of it, because on the other side of it, those who don't have money and look at people and are jealous of those people and are not doing anything to improve themselves.
Exactly. And
they're just sitting down and saying that, look, they're enjoying themselves, but they're not thinking about what they can do to make themselves better. That's also a problem.
Yeah.
Because what happens to the slothful man? Poverty lies at his door.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we have to understand that we just cannot be sitting there not doing
nothing
anything.
And criticizing people who are doing something.
Something, yes.
Yeah, so we are going to the main question, then we'll be done, like the topic. So does anybody have the right to be angry and bitter?
Oh yeah, God got angry. Right? There's many places in the Bible where God...
But you don't have the right to get bitter.
We don't. God is never bitter. Bitterness...
But everybody has the right to get angry.
You have the right to angry for the right reason.
You have the right to get hurt.
Yes.
For what people do to you.
Right.
But you just don't have to stay in it. And
you can't stay in it, exactly.
It to get you into a stage where you become bitter.
Bitter, exactly. God was never bitter.
But he was angry.
He was angry, right?
Yeah.
And then sometimes in his anger, he would punish
mankind.
Right, for what they have done. And usually when God got angry, it was because of disappointment. He told, and sometimes interceding. Moses had to intercede several times so that God wouldn't destroy Israel, right? Right? When God got angry, he always found a way out of redemption, right?
Yeah.
So if you look even the Genesis story, from the original sin, right? God was angry with Adam and Eve, right? Yes. But he found a way out. Right? And so what did he tell Adam and Eve? That your descendants, right? One of your descendants, man, would what? Step on the serpent, and the serpent will bruise his heel. So he was thinking years down the line for the redemption of Christ.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So God did get upset, God does get angry, but he always has a way out of redemption to allow people to come back. Okay. But what often we do, we get angry and we don't allow a way for people to come. Yes, and so there's no redemption. We can't get the people back.
Okay. So the last question is, I want you to advise people who are hurt are so angry and they don't want to let go, I want you to advise them on the psychological, the emotional effects, and even the Christian, like being a Christian. We've spoken about the Bible and how God got angry and got out of anger. So I want you to talk to people about it. People who are still in pain and are hurt because of things that maybe their parents even did, things their friends did, and they feel like I have every right to get angry because she didn't take care of me. She left me when I was young. My dad never took care of me. I was raped. This happened to me. I want you to talk to people like that because I feel they need to also be healed from such pain.
Yeah. I mean, there is a lot of baggage there, and a lot of people have trauma from the way they grew up, from abuse, both physical, emotional, and sexual. There are people who are so hurt, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
But we must also understand that if we do not let go, when you forgive someone, right, you're freeing yourself.
Yeah.
Right? So even if that person is no longer here, you can still forgive that person. Because if we do not forgive, we are actually hurting ourselves. And furthermore, the Bible tells us that we as Christians must take an example from Christ.
Yeah.
Right? Why did Christ go die on the cross? Right? For our sins. So he died on the cross so that we could be reconciled with Christ, right? Because of our sins, right? There was no way we could be reconciled with God without Christ.
Yeah.
We must remember that Christ came to this world. He was God.
Yeah.
But he lowered himself, he humbled himself
to be
man in order for us to be saved. And so that's what we have to remember. And so if we as Christians, even if you're not a Christian, you have to remember that if you can't let go, you are actually also hurting yourself. And furthermore, those people who have hurt you have won because you are in bondage.
Yeah.
And so they have actually won.
They've moved on.
Right, they've moved on, they're doing their lives.
They're enjoying.
Right, if you were sexually abused or something, they have maybe remarried and are going on, and then you are still stuck in what they did to you. And so you need to forgive them. It doesn't mean you need to become a friend with them. No, but you need to forgive them, let go.
And release yourself.
And release yourself so that you yourself can move on.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
For coming on Salty TV. This has been your Salty experience. Take care and bye. Hey guys, this has been your Relatable Christian Talk Show. We hope you loved today's session. Okay, continue to like, comment, share to the world, and please, if there's any suggestion, just put it down in the comment section. And please subscribe, hit that button, hit the notification button so that you don't miss any Salty experience. Okay, we have our Facebook and Instagram page. Please follow us. On Instagram, we are salty_TV. On Facebook, we are Salty TV. It's your Relatable Christian Talk Show. See you next in 2 weeks.